Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're doing a review of a new sequential shifter. I've not seen this one before. If you can see my breath, it's because it's absolutely freezing in here. It arrived the other day. It was a bargain price. It was £88 from memory, and then there was shipping on top of that. Obviously your shipping costs will vary depending on where you are. But for me, the shipping was about £12, so it came in about 100 quid basically, all in. So yeah, we're going to unbox it. It seems to no damage, so that's some good news. So we'll open up and find out what we've got. So this is off AliExpress. I'll include the link below. There we go. So let's see what we've got. So you've got one USB cable, so you can see that okay. Nothing particularly exciting. How long is it? 1.5 meters. Yeah, you might want to possibly get a longer one if, depending on where your computer is in your rig. Top layer of foam. What we've got here? Fixing bolts. You can see those. Oh, an Allen key. At least we've included that. Package wise, it's well packaged. Yeah, I can't complain really. Let's have a look. So let's move the box out of the way. So there it is, SIM jack. So we've got aluminium sides. So the main body's aluminium all the way around. Looks like stainless steel, possibly on the shaft. That's aluminium. Yeah, that's aluminium. This, well, believe it or not, that's carbon fibre. That's genuine carbon fibre. Don't know if you can pick that up on the camera. So I think for most people you'd probably have it that way around relative, so your cable's going out of the front like that. Otherwise your cable's got to loop back around like this. But so these are for adjustment. So you undo the nut and then you can probably just about make that out. There's some, yeah, it's not very clear. There's some Allen keys inside. So this is like a ball detent. So if you want it tighter, you can obviously just thread them in and it'll become tighter. If you want it looser, just back them out. So you can decide how stiff you want this thing basically. So I have to say, oh, there's your fixing holes. There only seems to be 2 in line. I was expecting there to be like 4, but needless to say, yeah, that's not a problem. Overall, first impressions, nicely put together. Nicely put together. No damage, no scratches. Yeah, looks nice, that does. So the ultimate question is what it feels like. So I'll see if I can do this without moving too much. Yeah, I might want to just adjust that off. It might be a little bit tight that. That's actually good. That's really good. I've got a feeling that one ball detent does the back and one ball detent does the front, but I might open it up at another point and have a look inside. You can't really tell from looking. You have to excuse my workshop clothes, but yeah, so there it is. 88 quid, so with shipping just under 100. That's actually really nicely made. And I'm actually surprised that's genuine carbon fibre, and it is genuine carbon fibre that is as well. You can tell by looking, and you can tell by tapping it. So yeah, it's not some vinyl stick-on stuff, so joking aside, for 80 odd quid, can't really complain. Really quite impressive that is. So I'll get it, I'll make myself a little jig now. For the next couple of hours, and then I'll get it set up on the rig, and then we'll see what we think of it, and hopefully it will connect up without any problems. I suspect it's just an Arduino inside, this little Arduino board, so connecting to your PC, I don't think there's going to be any issues with that really. Anyway, let's get it mounted to the rig. Right, see you in a bit, guys. Right, guys, we're back. I've decided to do this strip down of the unit back at home because it was absolutely freezing at the workshop. So yeah, I've taken a couple of panels off just to start with. We'll go a bit more in depth of how this works in a second. I don't know how well you can see that. So it's quite a simple mechanism actually. That's a USB connection, and it looks like it's a Hall effect sensor on the back side, as opposed, unless they're really small micro switches, but I can't tell at the moment. So I'm going to just take this panel off here, this little rear one. I've undone the bolts a little bit just to make it a bit easier. Again, this is carbon fibre on the back. I'll just show you that when I get this bottom bolt out. Just for reference, when you take it off, you'll have these little bushes on like that. They're just little plastic bushes. Nothing particularly exciting or complex. So let's undo that bottom Allen key bolt. I have to say, so far, from the construction side of things, it's actually really, really well made. Super tight tolerances. So for example, this little top panel, which again, just to prove it is real carbon fibre, you can see it on both sides. Even though that was unscrewed, couldn't physically get that off because it was clamped in so tight. So you can see the thickness of that, it's about sort of 3mm, something like that. So it's actually quite strong for what it is. Bit overkill, but I'm not complaining. Similar construction there. Nothing much to say. Okay. So you can see when you're looking at the back side, there's a pre-tension spring. There's also the other aspect to it there, which I'm going to take this little front panel off for these adjuster nuts. Yeah, that should still come off, I think. That shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, okay. Right, let's undo that then. Actually, tell a lie, it's just that, don't want that one off. It's just these two. So that little tiny Allen key there. These are really small bolts, so just if you do tear these down, just make sure you're careful and you don't drop your bolts on your floor, because they're super small. One of the reasons I'm tearing this down is A, because I wanted to see the inside of it. Oh, looks like we might have a damaged Allen key. Yeah, possibly. Yes, that's not good. Looks like somebody has damaged that when they've inserted it and over tightened it. That's a bit annoying. Okay, let's see what we can do. The other reason I'm stripping this down is A, so we can get a general idea of what's inside it, and B, what I was finding was when I was adjusting the nuts on the front, these two here, or the Allen keys inside them for the ball detents, which you might be able to make out in there, I was finding that on the back pull, nice, it was lovely springiness. When I was downshifting, if I had these at the wrong tension, it was binding up and sticking at the front, and I'd have to back them off quite a lot to get it to flick back, and it kind of felt a bit graunchy. And I think the reason for that is, if you can see in here, just here, though this is not sitting straight because it's being pushed out of the way at the moment because it's under tension by the spring, but there's no lubrication on that at all. So I am going to add just a little bit of grease to this here, and also probably where the ball detents run. I think that will hopefully just make it run a little bit smoother. How much of a difference it will make is debatable, but right, I'm just going to pause the video while I fight with this bolt for a second. So there's no point in me recording that, so I'll come back in a sec. Right, much to my annoyance, somebody in the factory has completely and utterly over tightened that, and they have completely and utterly killed it. So not that it matters, it just means I can't get this front panel off, but you can see these are basically a couple of ball bearing detents. How well you can make that out on camera. Yeah, so it looks like it's a little there are no micro switches, so it looks like it's literally a Hall effect. It has to be, otherwise I don't see how else it works. As far as the mechanism, I'll show you that. That's your turn spring. That would be on the inside face, just for reference. Nut and bolt, basically, just on this shaft, and what looks like a standard M8 shaft. So, reference the handle, you could probably turn your own if you have access to a lathe. The handle's quite comfortable, but you know, if you wanted a bit more length, then you could easily turn your own. So what we'll do now is we'll take the ball detents out. Okay, ball detents. Just for those who are not familiar with this setup, that is a locking nut. So when you've got everything set up the way you want it, basically that goes in and out. You can see it going in and out there just about. When you're happy, just lock that nut off and give it a nip up with a spanner. That'll keep the position then. I'm going to take these out anyway. I'll take the lock nuts off first. Incidentally, these are standard ball grub screws. So if for some reason one breaks or wears, you can buy these. They're off the shelf, basically. So what you've got, just for reference, is you have a thread on the outside. So that's how you wind it in and out. And then on the inside, as you can see, the Allen key and the ball. The Allen key controls how much spring tension there is in the ball bearing, basically. So if I back that right out, it should be that Allen key, I think. Yep. If I back that right off, that becomes super easy, and then as soon as I wind it back in, so you've got two controls. One is how much it goes into, because that's how it works. It goes into these little notches, basically. You can see those notches. So that's like your middle position. That's your back, forward. So when it goes into these notches, if you find it's a little bit on the tight side, you can either back out the screw, but that means it's a little bit sloppy between these, or you can back out the ball bearing tension. And obviously, the harder the tension, the harder it is to then pull that back, if that makes sense. So. But as far as the system goes, it's, other than that one screw that some idiot in the workshop has completely knackered, it's actually really well made. For 80 quid, honestly, I'm chuffed with it. I can't complain. I gave it a test run last night just to make sure it was functioning before I did a review. Just because there's no point in doing a review if the thing doesn't actually work. So everything was working. PC saw it straight away. No issues. Just when you go into your control panel, you'll see, in your games controllers and stuff like that, you'll see a SIM jack. So I just nip in there, do the push. Lights will light up. It's really high quality steel as well. Looks to be laser cut, judging by it. It's certainly not plasma, and judging by the marks on the side, it looks like a laser cut, and that's how they've got the precision, to be fair. I'm not going to take this apart, because if I take this apart, the springs are going to fly everywhere, and they're actually quite beefy springs, so that gives you a good bit of fight when you're changing. But yeah, really good quality. I'll just show you the electronics a little, just in case I haven't given that a clear enough view. Nothing particularly exciting, but it's a nice simple design. I have to say, it's a really simple design, and for the money I definitely think it's well worth it. Obviously I'm tearing it down for the purpose of you guys so you can see what's inside it, but you wouldn't normally be doing this. You'd just be getting out of the box and putting it on your rigs. I will now put it back together, hopefully without any problems. What I'll do is I'm going to grease everything up. Just the reason I think it's probably worth stripping at least this side panel off. When you get it, obviously all the panels will be on. Maybe just take this one off, and maybe take the top one off, and just get yourself a little bit of grease, just standard, you know, just some standard grease basically, nothing fancy. Just a little old toothbrush that you don't need anymore basically, and just grease everything up. It's not going to hurt, put it that way, and it'll probably make it a tiny bit quieter, not a vast amount, but just applying a little bit of grease on everything. This just means the balls won't wear, they won't wear the channels as much, probably a little bit too much there. And similarly that this shaft here, that this slot runs on, just a tiny bit of grease just on everything. It's not going to hurt it. Just don't overkill it, that's all, for obvious reasons, otherwise we don't want stuff getting on the electronics. That's all it needs, just a little thin smear really, and then just rub your finger off like that. So that is basically ready to go. I think I'll probably put a little tiny bit more on this shaft. The advantage of doing this, it just means that, you know, if you're playing an awful lot and you're hammering this thing, your chances of causing wear are next to none. And if you don't grease it, you're metal on metal, and it's a recipe for disaster. So just my advice is just take your side panels off, a little bit of standard car grease, that's all it is, and that should guarantee that it'll last a reasonable while. And again, it doesn't look like there's any macro switches, so again that's something that won't go wrong on you. So it looks like a Hall effect sensor. So I shall stop the video there. I'll put it back together and then we'll get it mounted on the rig. I'll probably have a little play around before I mount it on the rig. Once I'll show you just the workings of it and the adjustments, and then we'll take it from there. Okay guys, see you in a bit. Right, little observation guys, and I definitely have not lost this because I just stripped it on the bench here. That's how it should be. There you can see that, 2 bushes. And I thought it was a bit odd when I took it off and there was only one on this side. I've checked high and low, just as a sanity check that I haven't dropped it and it's not underneath something or fallen on the floor. So yeah, you might want to take note of that. That's not so good. So the way around that is I'm going to have to use some washers basically to pack that out. I'll just make sure I grease out all these up as well. So I'm not very impressed that there's only one on. It's funny because when I took it off I thought to myself, why is there only one on? And bearing in mind I stripped it here on the bench, so you know, even if I dropped one, where's it going to go? The answer's nowhere. I've even checked, you know, under my keyboard, everything, and it's not there. So I have to draw the conclusion that there was only ever one from the factory, which is not so good. So I'm going to have a bit of a play around with some washers, grease everything up, and then I'll do it again. Annoying. So that's a little workaround. A couple of washers, you can make them out, versus the 2 bushes that it should be. No big deal. Now I'm not going to diss these guys because there is a chance I could have lost it, though I think it's pretty unlikely, but nevertheless that is a quick easy fix if you take yours apart and find the same thing. So I'm going to put it back together now. Okay, right, we'll just do the ball detents now. So if you slacken the screw off, the hex grub screw basically, back that right out so that is really loose. And just screw that in so it just touches, so it's just kissing it, and do the same on the other one, exactly the same. Just till it kisses the mechanism inside, and then you can see very loose, well, nice and easy. And just take that, just pinch that so it doesn't move, and just wind that in a couple of turns. So it's about the same as the other one, no, a bit more actually. Noticeable difference. So you obviously don't want these moving now, so let's say we want to go with a firm setting. You can adjust this at any point, put your nuts back on. They should look exactly the same, the amount sticking out. Take yourself a wrench. Just a little nip, that's all we need, don't over tighten them. Just give them a little nip, that's it. So that's the difference between a hard setting. Now technically you can go harder, obviously this is greased up now, so give that another full turn. Considerably more force in that. So and we'll just do a comparison again. Back those out, right to a nice loose position. So virtually all the way out. And if it's a pin it down. So that'll make for a nice quick snappy shift. It depends on you, you know, as for what you prefer. Some people, real dog boxes are quite, you have to punch them quite hard deliberately so that they don't accidentally change gear on their own. So maybe a medium to hard setting, but we'll probably just go one turn in. I think that'll probably be enough. Yeah, that's probably enough. So that's it, she's done. I'll get my greasy paw prints off it from all the grease, and then I'll get it on the rig. Right, let's just check this is working. Ignore the driving because I don't rally much.
4, 3, 2, 1, go. 80k crest, turn square left, don't cut. 200 through depth. Turn hairpin right, don't cut. 350 over small crests.
Looking fine.
Caution, turn left 2 over crest, don't cut. Into turn square left. 400.
So you can see it's not that loud either.
Keep right. And left 6 long through depth. Caution right 5.
It's really good. I'm probably going to put a little plate on to stop a bit of side work. That wiggles on my rig. A little bit of side play. Playing the handle. It's okay, you know, I didn't notice it. It didn't really bother me, to be honest. But yeah, I think I just need to move my handbrake forwards because I can't get to it. So I'm probably just going to slide that forward. But yeah, anyway, that gives you a good idea of noise, play. Other than the screw that was knackered up and the bush that was missing, you know, these things happen. Stuff gets missed in factories, I know, but I have to say, bargain, absolute bargain for the money. So I highly recommend it. Highly recommend this.